Good day, colleagues. How are you?
Good day,
Fine,
Doc.
thank you, sir. Good day, doctor.
Okay, I'm having echoes. Let me just check what is the problem. Hello?
Hello, Doc.
Good day.
Good day, Doc.
Yes, we can start now. So today our session is basically on moving from the thesis to a journal article using AI. I'm not sure if you colleagues can hear me properly because I'm having an echo of myself here at this end. But if you can hear me properly, then that's fine. We can proceed.
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much. So today's session is basically for us to familiarize ourselves with how one can translate their thesis or their PhD report or master's dissertation into a uh, journal article. Right. So we're going to have a quick 15-20 minutes presentation, conceptual presentation. Then we do the practical aspect of that. Right. So my name is Dr. Moringa. As usual, we are doing all things AI. Right. So the problem is most thesis or master's dissertation never become journal articles. Right. That's the problem that we are seeking to solve in today's presentation. A completed dissertation is not the same as a publishable manuscript. These two are totally different and they differ in length, right? They differ from the audience, they differ in the format, they differ in the form. So they are not two genres with different outlooks, right? They're actually completely two different stuff. And without a clear plan to bridge that gap, strong research quietly stays on the shelf. I mean, I'm trying to imagine how many master's dissertations and how many PhD theses sitting out there in the libraries or in our computers that never had an opportunity to be published. Right. So that's what I'm thinking about now. And to say, so there is at least in the US, 25.6% of US psychology PhD dissertations were later published in a peer-reviewed journal. One large cohort study found we haven't had statistics from the South African or African context. We haven't had information or detail from the South African context, but however, we also see that 33.33% of medical students' master's thesis at one European university went on to become research publications. So there's a huge amount of data that's never used, that is gone to waste, right? And it is the case in everywhere, in every country. And I think it's high time that with the use of AI, right, we can actually get to have all those theses and PhDs being translated into meaningful journal publications. So the difference between a thesis and a journal article is that a thesis is written for examiners, not journal reviewers, or a small cohort of your researchers in that discipline that are interested in your findings. So there's no single self-contained story identified in the thesis, right? And reworking feels harder than starting new. And we need to ensure how much AI can help in this process, right? So the 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 one thing that I've identified over the years is when you get to complete your PhD thesis or your maybe the master's normally, you'll be so much exhausted that in some instances, even frustrated that you don't even like anything to do with the study anymore. You've had problems with your supervisors, you had problem with ethics, you had problem with a lot of problems that you've had along the way. So what then happens in that process is that um you don't want to return back to what you have been doing because it has demoralized you, despite the fact that you thought that this is where you're going to build your scholarship, but it has turned you away. You've gone through a lot of challenges with that work and you don't want to go to it. But let's understand first the difference between a journal article and a thesis, right? Where we're saying the thesis is exhaustive literature review for examiners. It is one long narrative across the chapters. It justifies every method choice in detail and written to demonstrate mastery of a degree. So basically, a thesis would be you are being disciplined to hone into that scholarship or the kind of field or discipline that you want to find yourself or to develop yourself as an expert, right? Whereas the journal article now, the literature review in a journal article, it won't be a long narrative of a literature review. Specifically, it is looking at the literature that supports the argument that you want to develop. And it is one tight, self-contained contribution, right? So when we're looking at a journal article, here, this is where you're looking at I'll demonstrate for you from my thesis, you're taking an objective or a key interesting finding, right? That's where you develop into an argument. You come with the abstract, you come with literature that speaks and pushes that argument or support or contradicts that argument. Then you have a one tight self-contained contribution. Then you look at the methods that describe consciously, not defend. So in a journal article, you are not justifying a per se why you have chosen this methodology because the methodology has already been tested in your thesis. So now you are having a clear, justified description and explanation of what, how, and you've collected the data and how you've analyzed the data. So a thesis, a journal article is mainly written for peer reviewers in the field, right? You're specifically focusing on, I'm writing this for review purposes, not for examiners. I'm writing this for the people who are interested in this field, right? You're not writing it for everybody else, right? So that's the journal. That's the journal article, right? So two roads from research to publication. There are two parts, right? So publication guidance from the APA style manual describe two broad strategies for turning graduate research into articles, right? So in this workshop, we're focusing on the second, right? So the first one is the multiple paper strategy. The dissertation is structured as a series of standalone journal length papers from day one. each chapter already closes to submission ready, right? This is you doing your PhD by publication, right? But in this particular case, we're looking at the conversion strategy, where we are saying a completed thesis or chapter written in full dissertation format is then reworked afterwards into one tightly focused manuscript for a specific journal that you'll be focusing on. That's what we are focusing on today. Right, so we're not gonna to talk about the first one because we want to focus mostly on conversion. We want to convert. So the way AI helps, right? Let's set the boundaries. Now AI comes into this space as a as a genuinely helpful research assistant, and its role in this particular place would be condensing long repetitive sections, right? We want to convert the whole entire 30-page literature into 500 words, right? We want to suggest tighter structure and flow. We want to sharpen our contribution statement. We want to reformat references to journal article style, and we want to check grammar and clarity and readability, right? So what requires great care when you're using AI is that we need to letting AI, we should not let AI invent the data or the citations, right? We should not let AI decide our arguments for us. We should not let AI submit edited text unchecked and skipping disclosure of AI use and assuming rules are the same everywhere, right? So that's what we need to be very careful about this particular way when we are doing converting our PhD thesis or our master's thesis into a journal article. So now what we need to do is when you are writing, you need to go back to your thesis or your dissertation and look at your strongest chapter or story that emerged from the whole dissertation that you've done. Before any writing or editing begins, you need to choose the piece of your thesis with the clearest, most self-contained contribution. The questions that you need to ask yourself is that, does it have one clear self-contained finding? Is the data and analysis complete on its own? Would it interest readers outside your examination committee, and can it be understood without the full dissertation? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself, especially question number 4. Can the part that you are taking from your dissertation or your thesis be interesting without somebody reading the entire dissertation? This is where it gets real. So what you need to do now then is to restructuring the chapters into an IMRAD article, right? By IMRAD article, we're looking at, you need to have the introduction, you need to have the literature, you need to have the method section, the results and discussion section. Right, so these are the key aspects of your article: the introduction, the methods, the results, and discussion. Right, this is what forms the backbone of a research article. Any research article that you need to write, it needs to have the IMRAD, right, where you have your introduction. Then after the introduction, maybe you need to infuse the theoretical framework and the literature, right, and the art, and then the research, the results, and the discussion. So the things that you're going to borrow from your intro, from your thesis or your dissertation, is the methods first, is the results, and the discussion. Right, these are the things that you're going to borrow directly. So in the introduction, so now the thesis has an extended introduction. Right, now the journal article doesn't have that extended introduction. What it simply has is the focused intro that speaks to the aims, to the gap and the aims. Right, remember we said you're identifying a specific topic or a specific question. Right, I'll demonstrate for you. Then the comprehensive literature review, you need to sift out all that 30 pages and look at 10 to 15 sources only that speaks to that area that you want to develop, right? Or that research question or that research objective that you want to convert into a topic, into a journal article. Then you look at the methods justified for examiners in the thesis. Then the methods conscious and reproducible in a journal article. Looking at your methods, explain them, 500 words or less, and are they replicable in a different study, right? So you are condensing the method section in the 5 or 10, 15 pages in your thesis into 500 words, right? So all those justification and explanations you had, you don't need to worry about them. Then you have the full results, right? You have all analysis now in your thesis, right? But in your journal article, when you have converted or selected one aspect or one objective or one question, what you need then to do is to have curated publication relevant results. So the results must be aligned, or you must present the results only that speaks to the question or to the objective that you've taken. That will be demonstrated in the practical demonstration. Then you have the discussion tied to the whole thesis and the discussion tied to the wider field. Now your discussion here, it moves from the discussion of the whole thesis in a dissertation to the discussion only limited to your field or to your wider field. That's what you need to do in this particular case, right? So you're not looking at the entire thesis in this particular case, right? You're looking at the discussion only that speaks to your dissertation, that speaks not to your dissertation, but that speaks to the field within which you want to do your presentation, right? That's what it is about the results section, right? So now we want to use AI to condense and refine and compare, right? The aspects that we're focusing on. So in this particular case, what we're saying, you need to compress with a purpose, right? Your compression is not simply a compression, right? You are compressing with a purpose.
Hi, Doc. Hello, Doc.
I think he's muted.
All right. So what we are saying is that you ask AI to shorten a section while explicitly preserving key evidence, numbers, and caveats. Right. You need to flag redundance. Right. Have an AI identity repeated ideas across the chapters. Then decide yourself what to cut out. All right. Then test the framing. Ask for 2 or 3 phrasing of your contribution statement, then adapt the one that's truly yours, right? And now you need to always compare versions. Read the AI condensed text beside your original to catch any lost nuances or meaning, right? So then what we also need to focus on in the step 3 is to strengthen argument flow without losing your voice. AI as an editor, not as a ghostwriter, right? So ask AI to critique your arguments, structure, and flag weak transition, not rewrite paragraphs wholesale, right? You need to watch for generic, flattened AI phrasing and swap it back for your own scholarly register and read every accepted suggestion aloud. If it no longer sounds like then you need to revise it. I'll demonstrate all these things. Why your voice matters. So reviewers and editors read hundreds and hundreds of manuscripts. The flattened generic AI prose stands out. It's very easy to pick up when a work is done through AI, using AI. It can raise integrity questions even when the research is sound. So your academic voice is part of your scholarly identity. AI should simply sharpen it and never replace it.
Right? Then the last stage will be the verification. You need to verify every fact, every citation. So generative AI can produce fluent but false references and misstated findings. A failure mode known as hallucination. We've spoken a lot about this hallucination. An invented citation is a research integrity risk and not a stylistic slip. It's a very serious issue that you need to look at and to be worried about. So it's a very serious issue and a concern that you need to be worried about. Then, so you need to make sure that you verify every citation against the original source and never trust one that you haven't personally read, right? You would find that AI will bring in some citations that you actually didn't have in your original thesis. So never let AI add a new source to your reference list on its own initiative. That will be very detrimental to you. And cross-check any AI suggested statistics or quotations. AI is not good with numbers. Then it fabricates statistics that you need to be very careful and keep a verification note for yourself. Useful if any editor asks later how AI claims were checked, right? Then the last stage, which is stage number 5, is to AI disclosure and publisher expectations, right? Across Elsevier, Sing Springer Nature, Wiley, Taylor and Francis, Sage, MDPI, and IE, 3 rules should hold consistently, right? AI cannot be listed as an author. Authorship requires accountability. Only a human can hold, right? A substantive AI use must be disclosed, name the true version and purpose and extent of use. Then human authors remain fully accountable before accuracy and integrity and disclosure or not. So where the disclosure goes depends on the specific journal. Always check the journal, the journal instructions, right? We have an example of a minimal disclosure where you include the name of the author. The author used this tool, ChatGPT. The purpose was to condense section 3.2 and check the grammar. All output was verified, reviewed, and edited by the author, who take full responsibility for the final content. So what we're saying is that the author in this particular case, they're the ones who are supposed to take full accountability and responsibility of the work, right? You need to make sure that everything is verified before it goes for praising. So choosing and meeting your target journal, right? You need to look at the scope match. Does the journal article actually publish work? Does the journal article actually publish work like yours, the topic, the methods, and the region, the length and references limits? You need to look at the word count, the abstract, and the reference caps. Often forces further cuts. The formatting style, citation style, section headings, and figures and tables. Rules vary by journals. Sorry about that. So you need to look at the formatting style, the AI and imagery policy. You need to confirm the journal's own generative AI and figure integrity rules. All these things are very key and important. All right, they're very key and important. So now we're going to the live demonstration of how we're going to convert a PhD thesis. I'm going to use an example of my PhD thesis using AI. We want to convert it into a ready journal article, right? So I'm going to first use Cloud AI, right? You can choose which platform you want to use. You can use Cloud AI, or you can either use also ChatGPT. It's up to you. So the first thing is to select. So we're going to do 5 stages. The first thing is to select the publishable story from a real chapter. The second one is AI assisted condensing of a long section. And the third one is an AI editing pass that keeps the author's own voice. Then the fourth one is verifying references and draft the AI disclosure. The third one is running the final submission checklist. So for the purposes of this presentation, we're not going to go through all the 5 stages. We're going to do 1 to 3 only, right? The issues of verifying references, you can always do that at your own time. Running the final checks, you can always do them at any given time of your time. So yes, that's where we are now. Right, but before I get into the practical demonstrations that I want to do, I want to check if there are any questions or any contributions on what we have done so far before we get into the demonstration. Any questions?
Yes, Doc. I have a question.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Doc, for the insightful explanations. So my question is on the use of cloud. I tried to engage it. Seems as if it doesn't have a free tire. Am I correct? Or maybe I'm failing to use it. I just learned about it from a colleague yesterday.
You said it doesn't have a what?
A free tire. It appears as if you are supposed to pay to access cloud.
Yeah, it has as a free use. All right, cloud is just like ChatGPT. You can use a free version, right? But it has huge limitations. You can use it. I think for a certain amount of words, then it expires. Then you have to wait for 4 or 5 hours again, or 3 hours to use. So the free version is there, but it's very limited. Right. Even, I mean, with cloud, the use of it, even the paid versions themselves, they do have limitations. They tell you that your tokens are finished. They'll tell you that your monthly tokens or your monthly payment is done. You're gonna have to wait until this specific time to resume again. But the free version is there. I can actually try to check here in a demonstration what we can do, how much you can do with the free version.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Doc.
All right. So any other questions, colleagues? All right, I assume not. Yes, you can go ahead, Taba.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We really have our thesis, master's, doctoral. They're just seated somewhere, they're gunning dust. We have them electronic, we have them hard copies, because in the previous year it was also hard copies. And this workshop is coming very, very handy on how to convert our work into publishable articles. Thank you very much, Doctor. And we also have our students here who are doing the masters and also the doctoral degrees. They are finalizing this and that. I think they shouldn't be, wait. Once they pass the masters, they should make sure that they really publish from their master's degree before they can, because the publication, if they want to remain in academia, is very, very important. And I'm very, very thankful for this platform. Thank you very much, Dr. Mring. Bye. Okay. Oh, we are continuing. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to the practical demonstration. Okay. So that's my screen there. This is my ChatGPT. I don't want to use ChatGPT for now. I want to start with Cloud. Right. So Cloud does have a free version. Right. It does have a free version. So I'm gonna log in quickly to my Cloud AI. I have a paid version of Cloud AI. Let's see here, sign in. This is my Cloud and see what it's gonna do for us. All right, then I'll go to my projects. Then here's my project here, Dr. TP Moringa. So first things first, what we want, please confirm if my screen is big enough. Is it visible?
Yes, Doc. From my side, it is visible.
All right, great. So the thing that we need to do today is, before we go any further, we say the task today is to convert a PhD thesis into a journal article, right? Into a journal article. But the thing is, I don't want to convert all of it, right? I want to, so the best way to convert your PhD thesis or to identify the actual areas of interest that you can convert into journal articles is to take your research objectives or questions and make each and every single research objective a title, right? Then you convert it into a topic, then that's, you use the findings. So I'm saying I want to convert all the research questions, right, into journal articles, right? The reason why I'm choosing the research questions is because each and every question has data and findings, right? And the methodology that assisted in answering it. So what we're going to do is we're going to extract the 4 questions that I used for my thesis. If I can show you my thesis right away, right, this is my PhD thesis, right? It's showing there on the screen, right? So this is my PhD thesis. I'm gonna go straight to the questions. I need to go straight to the questions and say research questions, right? So these are my 4 research questions, right? So these 4 research questions, number 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them are going to be converted into a research journal article, right? So I already have 4 journal articles for my thesis, right? So now we want to use AI to get into that space of converting these into journal articles. So I'm going to upload the PhD thesis here, right? For my PhD thesis is already in public, right? I don't have to worry about the issues of data privacy, data protection, what, because the document is already live, right? The findings are already there, everything has been published, right? So I don't have to worry about uploading it, whether I should upload it or not, because people have already seen it. It's already have citations and already been read. Right. So I'm saying I want to convert that into research questions into journal articles. Right. I've uploaded the article, the thesis, right? That I have. But now the first thing, I don't want to convert it first, right? Before we convert it, I want to convert each research question into a journal article topic, right, with a argument and following with an argument. What else do we need? With a brief purpose, right? So that I can see if this is publishable, right? So we don't want to flood ourselves with a lot of information for now. What we simply need to do is to see, right, what comes out from here. So this is our Cloud is converting that PhD thesis, the questions that we have, into some 4 or 5 topics that we have, right? We can choose to do the same, right? We can do the same process on ChatGPT as well, right? Then we can compare the outcome, right? So this is ChatGPT. We're going to run the same prompt and the same download and the same thesis here so that we can see what comes out. I know Cloud, it takes a lot of time to generate work, but ChatGPT won't waste time, right? Let's see what ChatGPT is going to do for us. So give it some time. So this is Cloud working. You can actually read what Cloud is doing here, right? You can actually read through the thesis, right? And that's where the outcome is. It says, I read through your thesis in the title and my name, specifically the 4 research questions, the findings for each, the discussion contribution section. Here's how each research question could become a standalone journal article with a working argument and purpose, so you can judge publishability before you can do the actual writing. So article number 1, it looks at the gendered hero and villain binary, right? Which article should we develop first, right? We are not there yet. It's actually asking me which article we should develop first. We're still reviewing what outcomes, right? The outcomes, the first one is from research question number 1, says, how did News 24 and IOL frame Dlamini, Zuma, and Ramaphosa? Then it says the working title, Hero and Villain, gendered binary framing of ANC presidential contenders in South African online. The argument is that News 24 and IOL constructed Ramaphosa and Dlamini Zuma through a consistent binary. His trace framed as strength and inevitable victory, has as weakness and inevitable loss, and this binary functioned as a gendered infected legitimation device rather than neutral reporting. Right. So this year we already have one article. Because I'm the one who authored the thesis, I know what my findings were. I know what the arguments were. This here is a correct argument that I pushed in my thesis, right? The purpose extends the gender's political leadership framing literature, right? This is the purpose. Then the publishability, it's saying it's a strong publishability. Then it goes to the second one is convergence across competing outlets. Then it says same frames, different means, institutional divergence and discursive convergence in South Africa, despite different auditorial styles and rhetorical resources. IOL cultural traditions, IOL leaning on marital stuff, right? This is both outlets converged on the same 6 frames and the same political outcome, suggesting frame selection is driven less by newsroom idiosyncrasy than by shared cultural discourses. This is here what came out in one of my findings, and this is the 3-1, and this is the 4th one, right? So what we have now, we have 4 topics that we have already that are publishable. Let's go to ChatGPT and see. ChatGPT loves tables, right? It has 4 also, right? It has number 1, research question number 1, it says framing political leadership in South Africa online press, News 24 and IOL 27 conference. This article can argue that News 24 constructed Ramaphosa Dlamini Zuma through binary, right? So these findings of this argument is consistent with what we saw on clouding, suggesting that these platforms have picked up the key findings or the key argument from each and every question. Then the second one is same frames, different discursive routes, right? This is also consistent with what we're seeing on Cloudy. And this one, political crisis markets. So we have a consensus between these two platforms as to which what findings were there and what come out and stuff like that. Right. So this is what we have. So number one, what we need to do, we need to focus. So I'm going to say here, I've done a paper on research question article number 1. I've already published on this one, right? What I didn't publish on, actually what is interesting for me is question number 2. So actually in this presentation, I'm going to develop this article number 2 into a paper, right? I think I do have findings. The findings are there in the thesis, right? All the findings are there in thesis. What we need to do now is to develop the actual article, right? I'm going to say here, now we need to develop article 2 into a full journal article, right? Right. So we want to develop this into a full journal article, right? Article for a Q1 journal. I don't make mistakes, right? Q1 journal. On Taylor and Francis.
Please add article 2 because I think 2 is missing.
Sorry, come again.
Please add 2 after article.
All right, journal article 2 into a full journal article for a Q1 journal on a Taylor and Francis, right? Taylor and Francis. I want it to be on a Taylor and Francis, right? What are the things that I want to develop, right? So the article, the draft, we're saying this is a draft. The draft must follow the IMRAD approach. Right. So the challenge now that we're gonna face is that the literature that is in this thesis, right, it's outdated because it was done before 2019. What are we then gonna do? Right. So that means we're gonna need to have a prompt, right, that retrieves relevant literature. But because I've been using this platform for a long time, I'm just going to go to my folders. Right, I have folders that I have, and I'm going to retrieve my templates. Right, if I go to templates, I have template for every section of a journal article. I'm going to say here the introduction, the problem statement. This is the problem statement. Then this is the theoretical framework. Then where's the literature? Then this is the literature. The literature review. One prompt for writing the literature review. Right, there is an abstract template, then there is a conclusion template, then there's a discussion of findings template, right? Then there's a literature review template, right? So I'm not going to write a lot of things there. I'm just going to tell this platform to use the templates that I've given it, right? Then we say attach this, right? Right, so I'm going to say use the template attached. Right, so what I've done for myself over the past few years is that I've managed to develop templates, right, using AI platforms and our previous published work. The purpose of these templates is to tell me what each and every section in a journal article should be included, how is a journal article supposed to be written, the references, right? But I'm going to say here, because the literature in the thesis is outdated, right? Draw on literature from PubMed and consensus, right? Then because I'm bringing in something new, if you go on Cloud AI, if you go on connectors here, if you look at connectors, it gives you options, consensus, Google Drive, PubMed and stuff. So I'm going to connect it to consensus and PubMed. It's already connected, right? It's already connected to consensus and PubMed. So I've made reference to consensus and PubMed. And I'm going also to say, then I'm going to look for, to avoid hallucinations, right? In my templates as well, I have an anti-hallucination template for literature review, anti-hallucination templates prompts for literature review. So these prompts are saying, do not fabricate, do not lie, do not bring in new sources, do not, all those things, right? That are there. If you want, you can watch our previous presentations that we did about anti-hallucinations and biases and stuff like that. Then when I'm done that, then I'm saying use only findings that are in the thesis, right? That speaks to the research question being converted, right? Don't bring in new findings, right? We're locking it in. Don't bring anything new. Don't hallucinate and fabricate information, right? Then lock in there. Let's then give it a prompt to say the journal must be 8,000 words, 7,000 to 8,000 words, right? This is a huge task for Cloud to do. It might take some long time, but it will definitely do it, right? I'm saying use APA referencing style, right? I want to publish this in, publish this journal article in feminist media, feminist media studies journal on Taylor and Francis. Taylor and Francis, right? And I say be thorough and accurate. We're locking in, right? Let's lock it in. Then we say, I'm gonna copy this prompt here, right? Then let's lock it in. Let's give it some time. I'm gonna lock this prompt and I'm gonna take it to ChatGPT as well, right? I'm gonna lock this prompt in, then I'm gonna take it to ChatGPT. Okay, let's say ChatGPT, let's develop article number 4, right? So we're developing 2 articles at the same time. We're not developing the same article. I'm gonna take the PhD thesis and I'm gonna lock it in there, right? And I'm gonna take all those attachments as well. The same attachments from my prompts, right? The same attachments, the templates. So we say the first one is the abstract, conclusion, discussion section, then discussion phrases, the prompts for theoretical framework, the problem statement, then the literature. Then let's lock them in, right? Once they are logged in, then we run the prompt. So the beautiful thing about agentic AI is that if you have 3 computers or if you have 3 whatever that you have, you can actually run these programs simultaneously at the same time, and in a space of 1 hour you have drafts of all your PhD thesis that will be converted. So this one here is saying Cloud wants to use search academic, allow it to go through. So what it's doing now, it's going to search for literature, right? Searching academic research papers. Yeah, that's what it is doing, right? It's found tools, it's searching for academic literature, then it's going to give us the results. We're also running ChatGPT at the same time. So by the end, when we are done, we're going to have 2 drafts from the thesis, right? We're going to have 2 drafts from the thesis. We're going to have draft 1 for research question number 1. We're going to have draft 2 for research question number 4. Then when we're done, we go to the stage number 4 and 3 and 4 and 5 of our presentation of converting those into final outputs, because we need to do the verification, we need to do the claim confidence, we need to do the citations check, cross-check every citation. So what we are doing here is that the work that we've already spent 4 years doing, right? We've done 4 years of work doing that work. We are just now using ChatGPT to consolidate that work, right? So then Cloud says, I need to flag something important before I draft this article. I searched the literature via consensus to update the thesis outdated sources and found that this exact comparative angle appears to already been published under your name, right? So I've already published work. Number 1, it has picked up Moringa 2021, Moringa 2025, meaning in the service of power. So why this matters? So it says feminist media studies include COP guidelines, treat this kind of overlap seriously. What actually still is original is research question 2 that the 2021 paper doesn't cover. The thesis specific theoretical contribution that News 24 and IOL use different discursive techniques to reach the same delete measures and end across the 6 frames, right? So I would suggest we sharpen article 2 specifically around that convergence argument. So then I'm saying proceed with the convergence argument, all right? So it is to see that this platform is actually engaging and doing its actual work. It's telling me that, you know what, this question article number 2 that we want to do, you've already done work on and published work on that, and there's going to be overlaps, right? Then while we are waiting there, it's developing the paper, the literature has been searched, and we see that the literature is accurate. These are 2 of my papers that I've published from my thesis already, right? And it's picking up overlaps that are there. While we are there looking, waiting for it to come up with an outcome, running commands, start the reference section, extract reference list body, is actually doing the work. Let's see what ChatGPT is doing in the meantime, right? ChatGPT is going to do its work. Let's give it some time, right? I love engaging with Cloudy because it tells me at what stage where they are and what is happening at each and every given time. So that's where we are. That's where we are. Let's see what comes out. So Cloud is still searching for literature so that it can update literature. I think this is one of the most time consuming and data consuming and token consuming process, searching for literature and organizing literature when you are generating a research article or research paper. So it's still searching. It takes a lot of time because if it misses up on literature, you would know that having fabricated citations in your work is a serious academic problem, serious academic misconduct. So this process here takes a lot of time, consumes a lot of time because we want it to be accurate. We want it to produce the real kind of work that we actually need. All right, so let's see what is going to come out there. It says Cloud wants to use get article metadata from PubMed. You say allow. Go to PubMed as well and look for those articles that we need that are credible so that we can strengthen our article before we have the draft article to come out. Right, ChatGPT is taking time. I'm not sure what it's doing now. Let's refresh it a little bit to see. What is it doing? ChatGPT is doing. It's taking its time. I love ChatGPT because it's fast. It says, I need to confirm the details of Taylor and Francis guidelines. They score ChatGPT is on the game. It's communicating with Taylor and Francis now, right? So that we can see, I might mention that feminist media covers and stuff. It's communicating with me. It's telling me what is happening in the background as I wait for that article to come out. Right, then we're here. Let's see what is happening to our cloud. Let me pull the detailed evidence for each frame from the thesis chapter to build an accurate finding section. We are already doing the finding section with cloud. It's thinking, right? So basically, somebody might need to ask, now this work is not being written by me. I mean, you're using these platforms now, they're writing everything for me. Everything is being done by these platforms. What then is my voice? Where do I find myself in? So like what I said initially, the first thing that we did was to identify the findings themselves, the research questions that are in the thesis, right? Then we identify the findings that came out from the thesis and the key arguments is relating to each and every question. And I confirmed that that's what my thesis find out. And those are my key arguments. Then we are developing on that. So we're saying we are condensing the entire 250 pages into small 25 pages article so that we can have something that is publishable. That's what we do in this presentation. Let's see. Now, because I'm running two platforms at the same time, this process might take time, right? ChatGPT is still thinking, and this might not, might go on. All right, so we have it. We're still waiting for our platform. This is a heavy task, I should say. This is a heavy task, but at least you know the process, right? You know the stages, right? We say there are 5 stages of developing and getting to that stage. What I just want to show you is the draft that comes out from there. That's the demonstration that I want you to know, but at least you now know that to convert that thesis, right? I don't advise you to upload a thesis that is not published yet, right? That it might be very difficult because you're already putting your findings out there, right? But for my thesis, most of the work has been done, middle of the work has been in the public. The data is publicly available. I don't need to hide anything about the data. So I'm just putting it out there to say, you know what, this work that I've done, then now let's convert it into a journal article. It's pulling, let's say, the pool is working on the dissecting framing disparities between news outlets and convergence strategies. It's doing those and looking at how those can be then converted into a rich discussion section. So what is interesting about what I did here is that I'll show you in a moment that the interesting part about what I've done is that the thesis that is gonna the journal article that's gonna come out here, it's not 100% coming out from Cloudy, right? Cloud is determining less and less of what I'm actually doing, right? Because what I'm saying is that it is following the prompts that I've provided it, right? I'll show you the prompts. Remember, I uploaded the attachments that I uploaded it to give it so that it can follow through what I was saying, right? So I'm going to show you in the meantime the kind of prompting that I've done, right? So that I don't replicate my work again and again. So I'm going to go quickly to those prompts, right? I'm going to go quickly to those prompts so that you can see what each and every prompt talks about, right? Templates, right? So I'm going to start with the prompt of the abstract prompt. Right. Okay. The problem statement. Let's start with the problem statement. This is my problem statement. Trem. Okay. Wait. Cannot load the file on doc file. All right. I'm not sure what is happening there, but let's look at PDF files. I think those are the ones that are going to work nicely. The Word files, I have a problem most of the cases. Literature review. Right, so this is my anti-hallucination file. All right, right, this is my anti-hallucination file. If you look at this file here, it says anti-hallucination for literature review. It says you are an academic research assistant. When helping me with the literature review, you must not invent or fabricate any sources, authors, theories, statistics, or publication details. Use only verified peer-reviewed studies, books, and credible academic sources. If you're unsure about any information or cannot verify any source, clearly state, I'm not certain about this. Instead of generating content, provide citations with DOR, URLs where possible. Base your analysis strictly on existing traceable scholarship. Do not guess, do not fill gaps, do not create references, organize the literature thematically and analytically, not descriptively. Before giving your final answer, double check each citation for publishability and indicate if any citations might not require external verification, right? So that's one prompt that I've used there. Let's go to another prompt. Would be the problem statement, right? The problem statement there, the problem statement prompt, right? Template for writing a solid problem statement. I say introduce. So this is how detailed contextual of the problem, introduce the context. In recent years, the field of, right, your research field has witnessed significant developments. Describe the specific issue, narrow down the issue, show why the problem matters, right? So state the aims and objectives of the study, conclude with a research question, right? So this is the prompts that I've uploaded on ChatGPT or on cloud. So what is happening is that this is how I would have done it if I was writing without these platforms. So I'm giving it, when you're asking the question about the voice, the cloud is simply putting my ideas, my thoughts, and my voice, and my findings, and my questions into a logical journal article. Otherwise, I've given it every information that it requires. That's what we simply do. We are back here to cloud. Cloud is taking time. Saying now I have everything needed. Let me draft the full manuscript. Right. So the drafting of the full manuscript is underway now. I think in the next 5 to 10 minutes we're gonna be fine. We're just gonna give it some time so that it can generate that without us moving back and forth. ChatGPT, it says done, developed article 4. Oh, that was really quick. ChatGPT has developed the article 4 into a full IMRA journal article, draft feminist thesis, right? So we have an article 4 from ChatGPT. Now let's download the full journal article and see what Cloud has done. I'm gonna say here, download it on in my downloads. Let's just put it in our downloads, right? Save in our downloads. Let's hope I have space to download this. It says there's no, something went wrong. There's no space there. There you go. I think it's downloaded. There you go. There we have it. We have article 4. Let's see what we have in article 4. Cloud is very intensive. It takes time to generate. There is article 4. Framing as political legitimacy, gendered leadership credibility in News 24 coverage of South Africa. Presidential elections, right? So the introduction with the abstract. So this abstract here, it followed the template that I've given, right? There's the keywords. Then this is my introduction. This introduction here, if you look all my articles that I've done, right? They have the same, the introduction looks the same. So I don't struggle to see if this introduction is mine or not. My papers, they have the same, because I use the same template to write my introduction. I have the introduction here, right? And I have the literature review here, literature review and theoretical feedback and theoretical framework. I have it here, right, taken together. Then I have the method section, right? So for a start, the method section is following what we have in the thesis, remember? Then we have the method section, right? Then we have the results section. right? Then we have the results section, right? But I'm not happy with this results section because they are not necessarily addressed into themes, right? I want them to be in themes. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Then we have the discussion section, right? We have the discussion section. This is our discussion section. And after the discussion section, then we have the conclusion, right? Then we have the conclusion. Then we have table one, empirical frames, right? These are the frames that emerged. So we have a table, then these are our references. This is our reference list, right? So this is our draft article from ChatGPT, right? At least we have an idea of where we're coming from and where we're going. So what we're gonna need to do is to go through this article and enhance it, but we are working from a draft. We are not working from zero. You read it, you add your citations, you add your ideas, you say, oh no, this, I think we must add this, but you are working from a draft, right? So this is our draft number one. Let's go to our right, continue. Cloud is saying, I have everything I need. Let me draft the manuscript. It's going to take some few minutes. But we have article number one, the draft article number one. What I want to caution you is do not submit that article from ChatGPT as it is, right? You need to go back to this article and read through the article. It says there's a growing need, right? It talks about, I want to verify the methodology. It says, yeah, the article draws on qualitative case study of 100 news articles. That's correct. From News 24 and IOL, from data collected from 1 October to 31 December 2017. That's correct. The analysis is based on thematic analysis and critical discourse analysis. That's correct, right? Verified that. I need to verify again. This article is organized according to IMRAD. Okay, this is correct. I want to look at the argument, the argument, right? The argument advanced here is that News 24 did not simply report Ramaphosa and Dlamini Zuma. They helped construct the gendered hierarchy of political legitimacy. That's correct. That's what I found out in my study. So I'm happy with this, right? Then I want to look at the methodology. Already I've confirmed from the abstract that the methodology is correct, right? I might need to add in when I'm reading to add in some citations here and there, right? That needed in the methodology, right? To make it strong. I can cite myself, I can cite other scholars as well, but let's look at what our cloud is doing. I love cloud because it is intensive, it takes time, it validates its work, what it's doing. Let me verify our references. I said recount, good, the reference list exists. Let me add into the new source list. I caught an issue, right? It's gonna take some few minutes, but we definitely gonna get there, right? So let's do concurrently. Colleagues, while we are waiting for cloud to finish what it's doing, let's hear some questions and conversations around this, right? While we wait for cloud, I'm gonna take some hands while we wait for cloud to complete what it's doing. Any questions, any hands, any comments? Comments, colleagues?
Close the door.
Yes, there's a hand from Ramakwat.
Good
You
day,
can go
Prof.
ahead.
Morning, Prof.
Yes, morning.
Okay. Prof, after I've finished with my master's dissertation, I was using the what you call this, the document to collect data. And I went through this process that you're talking about, and then I was trying to create 2 articles. But now the problem was the limit of the documents that I used, like the how can I put it, the list of references. It was 20, but now I used about 50 documents to collect data. How do I deal with that problem? Because I just abandoned the process after finding out that I need to have 20 limit on list of the documents that the list of references, but I've used 50 for collecting data, and I've had another uh, documents for what you call the literature review, the methodologies, and so on and so forth.
So what you need to do is to do continuous prompting, right? You need to do continuous prompting until so what I do, you see now Cloud has produced the paper, right? I'll demonstrate for you what I'm trying to say. Cloud has finally produced a manuscript for us. So before I download this article on Cloud, I read it through, right? I read through and I say, for example, I'm seeing that my abstract is too long. I come back and say, reduce the abstract to 150 words, right? I'm reading my work, right? I'm writing notes when I'm reading. I'm writing notes on the chat, right? Then I go again and read and say, okay, the introduction looks fine. What else do I need? Something is missing. Then I said, right, so what I want you to do is to answer what I want to do now is to answer your question. So if the list of documents are not enough, what you need to do with Cloud, go and upload your list of documents in your drive. If you upload them in your Google Drive, right? And if you upload them in your Google Drive, all those documents, Cloud can access those documents for you on your Google Drive. So if you say connectors here, then you say add Google Drive. Then you can look and identify where the articles are in the folder. Then you click them there, right? I'm not going to click here because this work has nothing to do with what we do. Then you click there to link those 10 or 50 articles in your drive to this article. Then you give it a prompt to say, now make reference and cite these 50 articles. It will go back again and redo and identify those articles. So this is my article here. Already done, right? I just need to read through the entire article. And if I'm not happy about anything, before I download the actual article, I actually need to go back and write the notes here on the chart. When all the notes are in, then I punch enter so that it can update the thingy. It can update the article itself. So I'll constantly do that. When the outcome is out again, I read through the article again until I'm satisfied. I'm not going to download this article. I'm not going to download this article until I'm satisfied. I'm still going to continue probing and asking questions and adding information until I'm happy, right? This article here, I'm not going to go through everything. It has everything that I need. The limitation section, the directions of future research, the conclusion is there, the citations are there. How many citations do we have? This one has done more than 20 citations. It's actually more than 30 citations that I have. So you'd see that Cloud is more intensive and in-depth compared to ChatGPT because Cloud takes time. But I'm going to take hand. We're running out of time. I'm going to take a hand. I think our hand is coming from, who is this? Chipo.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. Mine is quick. I just want to ask, PhD students are required to do at least one journal article based on findings.
Yes.
As part of the process. So at this stage, my thesis has not been published as yet. How best do I use the AI tools since I cannot, upload the full thesis? How best can I use it?
Right. So you follow process number 1, right, which is converting your questions, right, without uploading the entire thesis, right? Upload your questions, then search for literature without uploading the thesis, right? Generate the introduction, you have the argument already, generate the introduction, generate the literature review, right? Generate the method section because the methodology has already been there, then generate the methodology section. Then your findings and discussion section, you're gonna need to write it the same way you've done with your thesis because you didn't, the same way you write it in your thesis, that's how you're going to do it. But you can then, when you've done writing it, you can fine tune it on ChatGPT without you uploading the entire thesis.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. So colleagues, I think we've come to the end. I'm not sure if there are any other questions, but today I'm walking away with 2 draft journal articles, right? That I'm gonna go sit down and fine tune it. I just need a week or two, and in the third week they're gonna be ready for submission to journal articles. So this is how life has become easy, colleagues. You don't need to stress yourself so much. Quick, you're gonna do it. There is a hand from Cecilia.
Thank you very much, Doc. My question is, now that you are done with your article, my question is there a tool within Cloud, for instance, where you can run it for humanizing it?
Yes, so ChatGPT has a humanizer, right? You can, like what I said, to say, write your notes here. When you're done writing this, when you are reading, you see, oh, this section sounds like AI, write it down in your notes, yeah, on your chart. Say, no, I figured out that some of the sections here, they are reading like a AI. Convert or adjust this section to read more like human. Right. For me, what I do is that I have templates for everything, like I've said. My life is very easy because I automate my stuff. If I go back to my templates, right, I've created a template here for myself, right? This template is called journal. It's called a manuscript. It removes AI from manuscripts, right? If I upload that template, I'm just checking quickly, then can't find it now. It's called a master prompt for intelligence, background, meta prompting, decomposing. Okay, this one here, right? Okay, manuscript diagnosis, right? I'm gonna show you this document here. I'm not sure yes, thank you, it's open, right? So if you look, to remove AI and everything, I've created a prompt. This here is a long prompt. It says, you are a senior academic. So I upload this prompt on Cloudy. You are a senior academic, editor, and peer review expert with expertise in evaluating manuscripts for high impact Q1 journals in the social science and humanities. Your task is to critically analyze the manuscript below and produce a detailed editorial diagnostic report. Objectives: you must identify AI generated writing signals, detect and flag them. Right. This is the first prompt. So these are the things that I'll upload to look for AI in the document. When I'm done, then I'll say, you are an expert academic editor and reviewer with expertise, right? Your task is to revise and evaluate the following manuscript into a publication-ready academic text suitable for submission to a peer-reviewed journal. So now I'm removing all AIs. If I upload this prompt here if I upload this document on Cloud, it will rework the entire manuscript to remove all AI, and it will sound like human, and it will be ready for publication. But I want to do it using human judgment. So there are ways to do it. That's how you do it. So read through before you download it. And if you're not happy, upload, give more prompts to improve it and see how it can done. So the article is ready and you are ready to go. Right. Last hand, colleagues, before we close.
Thank you, Doc.
All right, great. Any hands before we close? Yes, Namani. Maleshwan.
Good morning, everyone. Doc, I would like to ask, is it possible for you to share that document with us? Or in which platform can we be able to find it? The one that removes AI from the manuscript.
All right. So these documents of mine, their purposes for training. They are not for sharing, right? But I'll advise you to using either ChatGPT or Cloud. You can develop those for yourself. You just go and say, I want a prompt, a detailed prompt or a master prompt for removing AI on a journal article. It can produce something for you.
Okay, Doc.
All right. Thank you, colleagues. Let's call it a day. And thank you for joining. It was wonderful. Hope your theses and dissertations, we're going to see the findings now out in the public. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Dr. Mringa.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you for the interesting presentation, Doc. Bye-bye.